The secret to happy marriages, a compatible attachment style. It's time to help a lover out. Subscribe to this channel. I was in awe the first time I learned and understood how attachment style makes or break a relationship. Suddenly everything made sense. The up and downs, the addictive emotional swings of my partners, the heartbreaks, all my relationship history became clear when I saw it through the lenses of attachment styles. I was an avoidant. And my partners weren't crazy, clingy or overly emotional, they were anxious attachment types. Read on and it will all become clear for you too. The 4 attachment styles. Secure attachment type. The secure type is comfortable and emotional closeness, both giving and receiving it. They play little games and tend to be honest and upfront. These are the guys and girls who say things like, "I like you," relatively early without being afraid of showing their hand. And they don't pretend not being interested if they're interested and don't call it hanging out if it's a date. No, they're not Supermen and they come in all different shapes and they can be confident and not so confident too. The secure type is comfortable and emotional closeness. Anxious attachment type. The anxious attachment craves. The anxious type gets very nervous when their partner is away and they will seek to re-establish contact very early. If the anxious is mismatched with an avoidant, the relationship will be bad for both. But most of all it will be anxious. Gender-wise, albeit there are plenty of anxious types in both genders, studies seem to point to more women with an anxious attachment style. But they subconsciously cut off that need, and whenever things get too close, that's when they need to get away. Sometimes people confuse them with unemotional people, but that's not true. When avoidants face life difficulties or trauma, or when they are alone. But as soon as they crave freedom and independence again. Studies seem to point to more men than women among avoidants. Fearful avoidant type. This is rarer, less than 5% of the population. Sometimes people abused in childhood tend to develop into fearful avoidant types. Basically, they mix both negative qualities of avoidant and anxious. Picking the perfect partner. Anxious plus avoidant. Some anxious types mistake the up and downs for signs of love. This is the worst match you can get. It's a rather common one and it's also difficult to break up from. The emotional up and down of separation and repacification are addictive for the both of them, and especially so for the anxious type. And some anxious types mistake the up and downs for signs of love. They are not, they are the signs of the attachment system going awry. Beware of it if you're anxious and when you feel your emotions are swinging a bit too much in the relationship, take it as a warning sign, or as an exit sign. La Dolce Vita is a movie with a clear example of an anxious, avoidant relationship. Secure plus avoidant, anxious. The secure type is a thing of beauty as it has the power to make the other attachments less extreme. The secure type is a thing of beauty as it has the power to make the other attachments less extreme. In a way, it helps them cure themselves. This is especially good for the avoidant. To end up with a secure, you must overcome your initial feelings of ambivalence as avoidants tend to find the secure type less exciting in the beginning. Final thoughts. Your attachment style can make or break your marriage. If you're an anxious woman, more likely or man, make sure you pick a partner who's secure, i.e. you will spare yourself years of pain and you will build your marriage on the strong foundations of a safe. First of all, even happy couples argue. No marriage is happy all of the time. Like all relationships, there are ups and downs, says psychologist Erica McGregor. But when you do fight, happy marriages listen to each other's point of view, recognize when the argument is going off the rails, and make the necessary repairs, she says. In fact, Dr. Juliana Morris, a family and couples therapist, says that some of the happiest couples she has worked with have weathered hard times. So if you and your spouse sometimes argue, or are going through a rough patch, this does not necessarily mean you are in an unhappy marriage. In fact, it probably means you're normal. Focus on each other's strengths. It's not always easy to see past minor annoyances, and at times you may even hate your partner. But to have a happy marriage, you have to accept your partner's strengths and weaknesses and be able to set realistic expectations, says Ellen Shute, LMSW. For example, if you're better with numbers, don't get angry when they misbalance the checkbook. Instead, make it your job to set the budget. If their strength is cooking, they can manage meal planning instead. Using our strengths on a daily basis is associated with greater well-being, says Suzanne Pileggi-Pavelski, co-author of the book Happy Together, which she wrote with her husband James Pavelski, Ph.D. And when we help our partner use their strengths, we experience more relational satisfaction, she says. Don't expect your partner to complete you. When he announced "You complete me," it sure was romantic, but it doesn't fly in the real world. According to Pawelski, if you rely on your spouse to fulfill you, it can lead to an overdependent relationship where you are not growing as individual. Instead, couples in healthy relationships should complement, not complete one another, she says. We should be secure, mature, and whole in ourselves while being open to the other person. So make sure you nurture your own interests and desires. Take a class you're interested in, make plans with friends, instead of waiting for your spouse to fill in the void. But still, do things together. And have fun together. While it's important to not fully depend on your partner in order to maintain a happy marriage, it's also necessary to share common experiences. Injecting new activities and interests into your relationship can strengthen the bond, says Pawelski. When couples share a unique passion, or learn a skill together, such as take a cooking class or tennis lessons, they evolve together. According to Morris, happy couples have a zest for life with each other. Whether it's a love of travel, a strong desire to build a family together, or a dedication to a common cause, these experiences enrich their relationship. Choose to be attracted to you, spouse. You get to decide if you think your partner is hot. Believe it or not, yes. Attraction to your spouse is a decision that you have the power to make throughout your marriage, says Sunny McMillan. She recommends practicing attraction thoughts. To do this, she says, focus on the attributes you're most drawn to, like your spouse's great legs or the way they parent your kids. It doesn't have to be physical. The good news is that your spouse doesn't have to be a cover model for you to feel attracted. Happy marriages are based on a sense of connection, she says. Laugh with each other. Life is stressful, so it helps if you can find lightness even when you're in the thick of it. Typically, when a couple has humor, it means they have perspective, says Morris, who recommends couples find laughter in both good. She says that she has noticed that couples in happy marriages have ease around each other. Whether it's through little inside jokes, a silly unexpected text, or even just watching your favorite comedy together, connecting with your spouse with laughter can increase your bond, she says. Be kind to one another. It's so important to be respectful and understanding of your spouse, says McGregor. If you are critical and judgmental, it usually ends in defensiveness and resentment. So to keep things happy within the marriage, avoid attacking your partner's character when you're upset. For example, she says, don't say, "You're such a slob. You never clean up your dishes." Instead, try saying something like, "Because I made dinner, I'd really appreciate if you could do the dishes tonight." See how much nicer that sounds. Most of us know that it's important to be there for our partner during the tough times, says Pawelski. But, she says, it's just as important to acknowledge the good times, too. She says that good things actually happen more often than bad, but couples often miss those opportunities to connect. So the next time your spouse shares something positive, like a compliment from their boss, immediately stop what you are doing and focus your full attention, she says. Help them savor the moment by asking questions and actively celebrating the good news. In doing so, you'll show gratitude for the happy moments in your marriage. Appreciate each other. When you're with someone all the time, it's easy to take them for granted, but according to McGregor, you should verbally express your appreciation every day. Whether you're calling positive attention to something thoughtful they've done, or letting them know something you like about them. We all need to feel appreciated and reinforced for the things we are doing right, says McGregor. For example, if your spouse makes you coffee in the morning, tell them it started your day with a smile. If we don't feel valued, we may become resentful and grow apart. Accept and expect change. Pawelski believes that to be truly happy in marriage, couples must be willing to grow and adapt. Our needs are always changing, people are growing, and relationships evolve, she says. So what we need today may not be what we need years from now. Because in successful marriages, each person supports the other so that they can grow to become the best person they can be, and that means maturing as individuals and together as a team. Like and subscribe to this channel.